Kelly Clarkson's stalker returns. It seems like if you're famous, not even a restraining order can stop your stalkers from showing up at your doorstep. When news broke early yesterday that Kelly Clarkson's stalker had returned, Kelly would let us know that this lady just doesn't know how to stop coming around. When the singer's team finally filed new legal documents, TMZ, to no surprise, would share their findings with all of us. In the documentation obtained by TMZ, it would claim that a woman by the name of Huguette Nicole Young has deliberately been driving by Kelly's home at least once a week, and this comes even after a TRO was granted to keep her away from Kelly and her home. Also, according to the docs, it would come to knowledge that Kelly's head of security, Michael Lopez, said that the team noticed Young's car, which has been previously seen and identified by them for her past visits to the property. The car would then be spotted cruising by Kelly's property in Los Angeles very early on Tuesday morning around 1:45 a.m. Michael was even able to upload the surveillance footage that would show Young's vehicle creeping across Kelly's driveway in the dead of night, with Kelly just successfully getting a judge to sign off on a court-ordered temporary restraining order on Young. You think this would cause her to stay away, however, that hasn't been the case. With Young visiting Kelly's home nearly 20 times over the past 5 years, Kelly's security team has claimed that with the visits, Young has left multiple gifts and other items on her front gate, and they were able to capture each incident multiple times on surveillance. But that's not the most concerning part, as even some of Kelly's former backup singers have claimed that Young actually started following Kelly all around the country dating back to 2009, which is actually pretty creepy if you think about it. Kelly has also confirmed that back in 2009, this is when Young started mailing her gifts and fan mail. And to make matters even worse, this isn't the only stalker that showed up on Kelly's doorstep this week. Kelly is currently dealing with 2 alleged stalkers, as if you can recall, she recently just got a separate restraining order on Monday after a dude showed up to her home in a semi-truck. Now I get it, a lot of you think celebrities are your idols, however, with saying that, showing up to someone's home you don't know is just inappropriate and creepy. Celebrities are normal people, and while you may want to show them your love and support, maybe send them some fan mail, buy a concert ticket, or if you run into them on the street, say hi and tell them you really love their work. Stalking them home and making them feel unsafe is just not it.
Coming in at number 10, 2009. Why not start at the beginning? In the moment recorded for everyone to see, way back in 2009, a young 12-year-old Hailey Baldwin meets Justin Bieber for the first time as a fan. This was backstage during his appearance on the Today Show. In uncovered footage from that day, you can watch the whole awkward interaction as her famous dad, actor Stephen Baldwin, introduces himself to the young superstar before turning their attention to Hailey, who awkwardly and shyly says hello, and they shake hands, with Bieber doing his little hair flip thing when he sees Hailey, which makes me think he liked her. We found out later that Hailey is indeed a fan of Justin, so whether it was her dad that forced her to go, or if she really wanted to meet Justin and her dad set it up, we can only really speculate. But her dad definitely played a hand in this one. We will wrap back around to this one too, so stick with me here. Coming in at number 9 is 2011. In 2011, Hailey just happened to run into Justin yet again at the premiere of his Never Say Never movie. Now, why would the daughter of a Baldwin ever find herself chaperoned by said celebrity, aka her father, to a premiere of a movie centered around someone who she had previously actually met? I'll tell you why. It's not because that's just what you do when you live that lifestyle, it's because she stalked him. Totally, 100%. Couldn't be any other reason. Hailey attended the New York City premiere of Justin's documentary Never Say Never. You can see her in the background with her dad during an interview being done with Justin. Coincidence? I doubt it. Doesn't seem to have been a big deal though, as later that month, Justin confirmed his relationship with Selena Gomez. Number 8, 2011 tweets. Hailey officially declared herself a member of the Jelena fan club. That's their... Jelena is Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez's name, if you didn't know. The model took to Twitter sharing her support for the couple when she tweeted, quote, "I'm for sure 100% team #Jelena." But this wasn't the only supportive tweet. If it was, we might be able to just ignore it completely. In fact, we can still do that since she was a 15-year-old girl at the time. But Hailey also tweeted from the since deleted Twitter account, quote, "Happy birthday, pretty," tagging Selena for her birthday, then tweeting 3 months later, "Selena Gomez is so cute, don't argue, bye," which was followed the next month with, "I don't care what anyone says, but Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez together is the definition of a teenage dream, #word." A fan for sure, and if you're a fan, you must be a stalker. That's how that relationship works. Don't you know that? Number 7, 2012 tweets. Oh, you thought we were done with the tweets? Think again, my friends. The next year, there were even more of them, and if you've noticed that these tweets seem to be pretty Selena Gomez focused, you may be right. At this time, Selena and Justin had officially started their long-running on-again, off-again relationship with one another, and Hailey, being a human being and a teenager, was either incredibly supportive or secretly jealous. Neither of those things are big problems though, especially at the age of 15. Her tweets in 2012 kicked off in January responding to someone else's tweet saying, "Seriously though, she is beyond flawless and he's Bieber. They are the perfect relationship," ending that tweet with a straight face and adding, "Forever alone. So sad." Later that same month, she posted, "Selena Gomez is so friggin' good looking." And then 1 month later, she tweeted, "I gotta say, I was really looking forward to seeing what color coordination Jelena was gonna do for this year's VF party. Hashtag sigh, hashtag oh well." In May, she also tweeted, "Selena Gomez looks hot in her new music video." I don't know if this is showing she's obsessed with Justin or more obsessed with Selena, but maybe both. Now at number 6, it's followed him to church. Moving forward, pretty much every other instance of Hailey stalking Bieber could very easily be explained by the fact that the two literally became friends and even something more, really starting in 2014. This year, Justin and Hailey were photographed at a church in Hillsong alongside Kendall Jenner. Justin and Hailey are standing right beside each other, which gives me the sneaking suspicion that maybe they were friends, but that's just what my brain tells me. But I'm sure there is someone who could spin this to be Hailey stalking and forcing her way into Bieber's life. That must be the real answer here. Number 5, rumors. Not too long after being spotted at the church together, rumors began to circulate that these celebrities were beginning to see each other in a more serious light. These rumors were addressed by Hailey herself, who denied any romantic connection between her and Justin. During an interview with E! News, Hailey said, quote, "I've known Justin since I was like 13. We have just stayed close and there's nothing more to it than that." And Justin backed up Hailey's statement in an Instagram post. The singer shared a selfie of himself and Hailey in the back of a car with the caption saying, quote, "People are crazy. I'm super single and this is my good friend you would know otherwise." But what I'm seeing here is that she found a way into the back of his car. That means stalking. Number 4, vacation. A year later from that incident, in December 2015, Hailey seems to have followed Justin and his family on vacation in Anguilla. She followed them so closely, in fact, that some could even say that she was actually with them, and that's because she was. In an Instagram post made by Justin, Hailey is leaning against her friend when he gave her a wet willy when she thought they were just taking a picture, and her reaction is not what you'd expect from a friend. Very affectionate looking, I'm just saying. Needless to say, this fueled rumors that their friendship was actually something more, and given the fact that Selena and Justin were in one of their many off moments at this time, it's likely true. In fact, it was true, as the next month, in January of 2016, Justin posted a picture to his Instagram of him and Hailey kissing. Instagram official. And in at number 3, casual. Now this isn't really proof of stalking, but it does show that Hailey was okay with putting Justin's priorities over her own. Clearly a red flag. Or is it just them trying to balance a relationship and him being an absolutely massive megastar? I'll let you guys decide. What I'm talking about here is when Hailey and Justin revealed that their relationship was official but just casual. Hailey told E! quote, "We are not an exclusive couple. He's about to go on tour. Relationships at this age are already complicated, but I don't really like to talk about it because it's between me and him." Recognizing his busy life and also trying to keep things somewhat private seems pretty mature to me, but at that same time, Justin gave an interview to GQ where, when discussing the relationship, he said, quote, "I don't want to feel like the girl I love is an added responsibility. I know that in the past I've hurt people and said things that I didn't mean to make them happy in the moment. So now I'm just more so looking at the future, making sure I'm not damaging them. What if Hailey ends up being the girl I'm gonna marry, right? If I rush into anything, if I damage her, then it's always going to be damaged." He kinda called that one. I don't know. But it didn't stop them breaking up and Justin unfollowing Hailey when he started a pretty brief relationship with Sophia Richie before briefly restriking the Selena match. In at number 2 is reaching out. While still in his rekindled relationship with Selena Gomez, Justin contacted Hailey, apparently trying to clear the air over their brief relationship and the bad breakup. This came from sources who were connected to Hailey and Justin's church. So no, this point isn't stalking, but the reconnect apparently did not sit well with Selena once Justin told her. Hailey's former favorite couple, Jelena, ended up allegedly going to couples therapy because of the whole thing. So it isn't entirely wrong to say that Hailey kind of caused the split of Bieber and Gomez Gomez, as the two only lasted a couple more months until early March when they took a break, which finally, officially became a breakup. But it was Justin reaching out that was the real problem here. Hailey was even allegedly dating Shawn Mendes at this time, although that was apparently just a friendship according to Hailey. Probably so everyone knew she was free for Bieber. I made that up, don't quote me. And finally, in at number 1, an arranged marriage. And then they reconnected at a church in Miami and very quickly got married. The ultimate stalking move. Now they are legally and religiously attached to each other. He will never get away, and they've remained married since 2019, and get this, they live together. She won. She's the ultimate stalker. There you go. She achieved ultimate stalking status by just moving in with the guy. Do you see my sarcasm? Because you should. But on another note, recently on the Ellen show, while talking with Demi Lovato, Justin spoke about when he and Hailey first met back in 2009, saying how he's pretty sure she didn't want to even be there, and that, as we said before, her dad seems to be the one that set this up. According to Justin, Hailey's dad, Steven, had dragged her out of bed in the morning, and since both Hailey and Justin were both raised Christian, their parents thought they should meet each other, which is when Justin made the revelation that it was totally an arranged marriage. This caused a whole whackload of sources on the internet to say that Justin regretted Hailey and that the whole thing really was an arranged marriage. Now it's truly shocking, but hold on. Prepare to be even more shocked because, get this, it seems like he's totally making a joke. I don't know. I know it's hard to believe that someone could joke like this, but it turns out that Justin, who is a celebrity and speaks publicly all the time, might actually really love Hailey and made a sort of sweet joke about the first time they met. I'm just saying.
Number 10, Billie Eilish. Earlier this month, the singer had to file a restraining order against a fan who allegedly broke into her house several times. She said that the incidents have caused her substantial anxiety, fear, and emotional distress over her safety and that of her family. On January the 5th, the LAPD arrested 39-year-old Christopher Anderson on suspicion of burglary after he attempted to break into her house by jumping over a fence to gain access to the property. In the court documents that were filed, Billie said that he turned up unannounced and uninvited after apparently professing his love for her and expressing that he really wanted to meet her. In her own statement to the police, the 21-year-old said that she had never communicated with the man at all, but she said that the stalking made her feel unsafe to return to her childhood home. She said, "I have viewed images of this individual and can confirm I have no idea who he is, and that I have had no prior relationship or communication with him." According to her father, Patrick O'Connell, this Anderson guy has rung the doorbell and asked to use the bathroom. He then slid a phone under their front gate, left a white flower, and a handwritten note where he professed his love for her. Number 9, Sandra Bullock. On the 8th of June in 2014, the actress awoke in her Los Angeles home at 5:30 a.m. to the sound of loud banging, and soon after she heard a loud explosion. Sandra was home alone at the time and she was terrified because the man had actually gotten into her house. He walked past her bedroom door without noticing her, and she rushed to hide in her wardrobe, locked herself in, and called the police. She then feared for her life as the man pounded on her bedroom door. When police arrived, they arrested a man called Joshua Corbett, but they soon discovered that this was not a random home invasion. He was carrying a notepad with scribbled diary entries. One of them read, "I love you and you are very special to me, and without you in my life there is only misery. I've waited and waited but you never come." The entries in the notepad were also very salacious, as they detailed his intention to commit SA. What's really scary is that surveillance cameras around Sandra's home showed that he had been pacing around outside 3 days earlier. The actress has since sought treatment for her PTSD from the incident, and she even spoke about it on the Red Table Talk. Number 8, Taylor Swift. The singer has had a number of experiences with various stalkers, all attempting to break into her home over the span of her career. In 2021, 2 men were arrested for separate attempts at breaking into her New York City apartment. One was sentenced to 30 months in prison for not only stalking, but threatening to kill Taylor. In 2018, Julius Sandrock drove from Colorado to her home in Beverly Hills. He reportedly traveled over 1,000 miles to stalk her, and he was found to have ammunition, a knife, a rope, and gloves in his car at the time of his arrest. Taylor eventually had to file a restraining order against him. And back in 2016, a man named Muhammad Jafar reportedly began stalking the singer, appearing at her building multiple times. He even went so far as to make it onto her roof and buzz her door non-stop. He was arrested in March of 2017 and sentenced to 6 months in jail. In a 2019 interview with Elle, Taylor said that she now carries army-grade bandages for stab wounds. She said, "You get enough stalkers trying to break into your house and you kind of start prepping for bad things." So that's incredibly sad that she feels like she always has to stay prepared for something horrible like that to happen again. Number 7, Ariana Grande. There's no doubt that the singer has been through some challenging times in her career and personal life, but sadly, like a lot of other female celebrities, she's also had to deal with threats of stalking too. In August of 2020,
2021, a man named Aaron Brown was wielding a knife outside her home and threatening her safety. In court documents filed after the incident, Ariana said that she was fearful for her life. In the statement she wrote, "The fact that Mr. Brown has been regularly coming to my home for over 6 months terrifies me. Based on his threats, I am fearful for my safety and the safety of my family. I fear that without a restraining order, Mr. Brown will continue to come to my home and attempt to physically harm or murder me or members of my family." Apparently, his visits to her house were sporadic at first, but then they became more and more frequent, to the point where he was there literally every day, and sometimes multiple times a day. Then in August of 2021, when Brown was once again asked to leave her home, he became combative and returned with a large hunting knife at night, yelling, "I'll effing kill you and her." After that, Ariana was able to secure a 5-year restraining order against him. Number 6. Kendall Jenner. Unfortunately, the model had dealt with many cases of stalking during her time in the spotlight. In 2016, a man called Siobhan McKenzie targeted Kendall on her way home and followed her into her driveway. He started screaming and pounding on her car window. Kendall then opened up about the traumatic incident on an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. He goes, "I need to talk to you," and I was like, "No, you need to leave." I called one of my friends immediately. I'm sobbing, crying. He's at my window, banging on my window, screaming at me. Mackenzie was eventually found guilty of trespassing, but he was actually acquitted of stalking. Then in October of 2018, it was reported that Kendall got a restraining order against another one of her alleged stalkers, a man called John Ford. Apparently, he had trespassed on her property 4 times in a 3-month time span, and if that wasn't scary enough, she was actually home during one of the incidents when she found him in her swimming pool. Eventually, Kendall was able to get an order of protection against him, but he still managed to trespass. Her worries were finally resolved in June the following year, when Ford was deported back to Canada because he was not a United States citizen. Number 5. Gwyneth Paltrow. In what eventually became one of the longest celebrity stalking incidents of all time, the actress was stalked by a man called Dante Sue for over 17 years. He would apparently send her upsetting letters, discussing things like his intention to marry her and her death, as well as unsolicited X-rated gifts. In 2000, Dante was sent to a psychiatric facility after a previous stalking case involving Gwyneth, but the letters continued for years after that. In 2015, she pressed charges against him for his repeated behavior and gave evidence in court claiming that he had sent her around 70 messages between 2009 and 2015. She said, "I'm scared because the communications completely defy logic. I've been dealing for 17 years with the communications from this man. I felt very upset by it. This has been a very long and very traumatic experience already." In one of the recent packages that the man sent her, he included clothes that he wanted her to wear. His lawyer argued that the letters were innocent in nature, and because Dante was deeply religious, he was trying to minister to Gwyneth. He was eventually acquitted of felony stalking and attempted stalking by the jury, with his lawyer saying that he just needed the right medication rather than jail time. Number 4. Keira Knightley. The actress was stalked by a man named Mark McAdipus, who made repeated visits to her London home in 2016. At one point, he apparently meowed at her through her letterbox and also used chalk on the pavement to draw arrows pointing to her dog. It seems silly, but there's no doubt that these incidents would have disturbed Keira. Eventually, Mark was arrested for stalking. During his trial, she read out a statement to the court which said, "His actions have had a severe impact on my life and the lives of my family. Since I reported the incident to the police, we are now looking to move houses outside the borough." Keira went on to say that she was now scared every time she went outside. Quote, "When I return home, I have to look behind me concerned. I don't know who might be in the shadows. If I was to see this man again, I wouldn't know what to do. If I was with my child, we wouldn't be able to run away easily." In the end, her stalker was sentenced to an 8-week prison sentence and ordered to join a mandatory mental health treatment program. He was also given an indefinite restraining order which bans him from contacting Keira and her family. Number 3. Justin Bieber. This story is seriously shocking. Back in 2013, the singer was stalked by 2 men who allegedly planned to castrate him with garden shears and then kill him. They were an uncle and nephew duo named Mark Stake and Tanner Ruane, and they were arrested in New York City. They were acting under the orders of a man called Dana Martin. He was in prison at the time and serving 2 consecutive life sentences. He was apparently obsessed with Justin, and his behavior was crazy. He is said to have an elaborate Justin Bieber tattoo on his right leg that he got another inmate to draw on him with a makeshift tattoo needle in prison. Even though he is said to love the singer, claimed that his reason for putting a hit out on him was wasn't just so people will know who he is. It's because he changed as a person and that made him angry. The two men involved were also sent to prison. Tanner was sentenced to 5 years, but after serving 1 year and a half, he was placed on supervised probation. Mark was sentenced to 9 years and then another 9 years to be served concurrently, so that clearly put an end to their plan. Number 2. Selena Gomez. In 2013, the singer was relentlessly stalked at her private gated Calabasas mansion. She was stalked by a 20-year-old man called Che Cruz, who was first arrested after breaking into her guest home on March 30th. He was ordered to stay away from Selena and her home, put on probation, and was sent to jail for up to 45 days. But he was released only 2 days later. Within hours of his release, sheriff's deputies re-arrested him at Selena's home again. So he was arrested twice in 1 week at her house, although we don't know if she was home during the second intrusion. Cruz was eventually charged with felony stalking and violating a court order to stay away from the singer. He pled not guilty to the charges and bail was set at $160,000. The LA District Attorney's Office said Cruz jumped the fence at her home before his second arrest. The man, who was said to be homeless at the time, pleaded no contest to stalking Selena and was then ordered to undergo psychological treatment. He was told that he had to spend 6 months in a residential treatment facility, followed by a year of psychological treatment, and he had to stay 200 yards away from her home for 10 years. But only 1 year later, Selena would put up her home for sale. And coming in at number 1, Josh Hutcherson. In 2015, the actor shared a bizarre story on Conan. When Josh went home to Kentucky for Christmas after his film Catching Fire premiered in 2013, some unsuspecting guests arrived at his front door. He said, "Last Christmas, the doorbell rings after dinner. I go get the door and there are 2 young girls and their mother crying. I have no idea how they found out where I live. They told me that they drove down from Chicago on the chance that I might be home. They had watched me through the window and said, 'We were waiting for you to finish eating.' So they were polite stalkers." Josh went on to describe the bizarre incident and claimed that they were around 12 to 13 years old and they showed up at his house with their mom. He said, "My face was all over their clothing and their cell phones had my face on the back. It was like looking at a bunch of weird mirrors pointing at myself." Apparently the family had driven that insane distance just for the chance to meet him, because somehow they got a hold of his address. He said, "They were crying. I didn't know if it was my fault and I didn't know how to react."
And moving on to our final story for today. Jenna Marbles was one of YouTube's most popular creators and one of the first big YouTubers who made a career out of posting videos to the platform. Marbles started her YouTube career back in 2010, and 10 years later, she sadly decided to leave the platform and no longer post videos. The last couple of years, Jenna has been completely absent from the internet, but fans are still receiving big life updates via her now husband, Julius Solomita, who continues to create content for YouTube and Twitch. Just recently, fans were ecstatic, me included, to see that Julian had released photos from the couple's wedding day. If you're a fan of Jenna, you will have seen the relationship from the start, and it was really sweet to see Jenna's face again, looking oh so happy. The bliss from their wedding, however, quickly turned to fear and concern when they had a run-in with an unwanted guest showing up to their home. Law enforcement sources told TMZ that cops had been called on Monday to the newlyweds' home in San Fernando Valley after a female fan broke into the couple's home and things ended up getting heated. Apparently the woman showed up uninvited to their home twice on Monday, resulting in Solomita pepper spraying her. TMZ's sources said that the LAPD came across the woman on their way over to Jenna and Julian's home. Reportedly, the officers ended up calling the woman an ambulance due to her being pepper sprayed, and she was taken to local hospital to be checked out. She must have been determined to do whatever it was she was trying, because being pepper sprayed twice is not something you endure just to meet your favorite YouTuber. The pepper spray will be the least of the woman's worries soon, because once she's released from the hospital, she will absolutely be arrested. Julian posted a statement to his Instagram following the incident saying, "Today someone broke into our house. A woman that we don't know entered our home unannounced. Upon her entering our back door, I immediately subdued her with pepper spray and was able to lock her out. I called the police and she was apprehended and arrested. He then made sure to add Jenna, the dogs, and myself are all safe. While this person is a complete stranger to me, they have been harassing me at my home throughout the last 2 months. This was something that for safety reasons I was doing my best to keep offline, but we were notified that a media outlet had information on today's events and are planning on running a story, so I wanted you to hear what happened from me first." Well, I'm glad he was quick to act on the woman entering their home, and I'm glad that she is finally in police custody, out of the couple's hair. Definitely not a way to spend newly being married, and certainly not a nice way to reign in the new year. I'm happy all is well with Jenna and Julian. Hopefully hopefully things will turn around for them going forward.
On Thursday, June 9th, pop star Britney Spears got married to fiancé Sam Asghari. This came 9 months after they had gotten engaged and 7 months after Britney had been released from her conservatorship. Under the conservatorship, she had been prevented from getting married to Sam and even said that she was not permitted to have children with him. But now she has been released and Britney has been #freed. However, it unfortunately doesn't seem like she is completely free from her past, as an uninvited guest attempted to break into the wedding. Jason Alexander, a man whom Britney had been previously married to for only a few days in 2004, made his way onto Britney's property and attempted to break into the wedding venue. This is not the first time this has happened, as he has reportedly been trying to get into contact with Britney for a long time, and this is not the first attempt that he has made to trespass on her property. If you're curious how he managed to get into Britney's home, well, you can watch it. Alexander actually live streamed his break-in to Instagram, and video clips from it can be found online. He begins in what appears to be a fairly empty room, telling the security there that he had been invited. I will mention that Britney did reportedly fire her entire security team after he was allowed in during this incident. Probably a good move. He was then detained by deputies after someone had made a trespassing call, and he was arrested after it was learned that he had a warrant out for his arrest in another county. It was also reportedly said that Jason Alexander had been armed with a knife when he had entered the property, though it's not clear if it was something he regularly kept on his person or if he had had some sort of malicious intent. Britney's attorney had this to say after the situation occurred. He's going to, I hope and I pledged my support, be very vigorously prosecuted. It's a very serious matter. This was more than just a quote wedding crash. This was an intrusion. Alexander appeared in court through a video conference where he was issued a restraining order, requiring him to keep at least 100 yards away from Britney, Sam, and their home for the next 3 years. He was charged with felony stalking as well as misdemeanor counts of trespassing, vandalism, and battery. He pleaded not guilty to all 3. His bail was set at $100,000 and he is awaiting an upcoming hearing in regards to the matter. Spears' attorney also said outside the hearing, "I want to thank Sergeant Cyrus Zadie, Detective Ken Michelson, and the Ventura County Sheriff's Office for their prompt and good work, and look forward to working with law enforcement to ensure Alexander is aggressively prosecuted and hopefully convicted. This was an outrageous security breach, which I am livid about, but fortunately Britney is safe and she was a beautiful and happy bride." And a happy and beautiful bride she certainly was. They had their wedding at their home in Thousand Oaks, with guests like Drew Barrymore, Selena Gomez, Paris Hilton, and Madonna. Britney and Sam met on the set of the music video for Slumber Party back in 2016, and the wedding has been long awaited by the both of them after they got engaged 9 months ago. Britney said that the wedding was an absolute dream and the party was even better, and she wore a custom dress designed by Donatella Versace. When fans made comments about the importance of the two signing a prenuptial agreement, a contract that allows both parties to select and control certain assets, Asghari jokingly replied saying, "Of course we're getting an ironclad prenup to protect my Jeep and shoe collection in case she dumps me one day." Sam appears to be totally in love with Britney, saying leading up to the wedding, "I have always wanted nothing but the best for my better half, and will continue to support her following her dreams and creating the future she wants and deserves." After the struggles and stresses she had endured throughout her life, we all want the best for Britney, so we can only hope that he's telling the truth and that the two will be very happy together, and maybe soon we'll be starting the family that Britney has wanted for years. As the two haven't even planned their honeymoon yet, it seems unclear what comes immediately next for the couple, and we can only wait and see.
According to legal documents obtained by TMZ, Billie Eilish has just officially obtained a restraining order against a man that has been a huge problem in her life for a little while now. I'm going to tell you all about this story in a moment, but first, if you could please smash that like button, we would really appreciate your support. And with that out of the way, let's just dive right into today's video. So recently, Billie Eilish had to seek a court-ordered restraining order against a guy named John Hurl, who apparently has been harassing and even threatening Billie from outside of her home in Los Angeles. Within the documents filed, Billie says that the man has been camped out at a school right across the street from her house since the start of the summer. Plus, he has been constantly flooding her mailbox with threatening and very disturbing letters. Those documents include 13 photos that show these wild notes left from this stalker. They're all crumpled up, and he refers to himself as Lucifer and Satan a couple times, and he also constantly threatens Billie directly, which is just absolutely terrifying. In one of the notes he says, "You can't get what you want unless what you want is to die for me. You will know that soon the water will rise and you might very well die. You will die." Billie also goes on to claim that this man watches her enter and exit her home and will always either say something to her or at least make a gesture. One time even included a throat-slitting move, which is, again, very unsettling. Now, of course, this has to be making Billie extremely anxious every time that she arrives home, now having to worry about the safety of herself and her family. So law enforcement officials told TMZ that this case was going to be investigated by the LAPD, but an arrest has not been made. That being said, Billie was able to have a judge force her to stay at least 200 yards away from her and her parents at all times. So the second that he comes within that range, he would be arrested immediately, but I suppose another investigation into getting him arrested for those very threatening letters is definitely needed. I mean, he did write his actual name on the sheets several times, but you never know if foul play could be at hand. It's stuff like this though that really makes celebrities want to leave California. There's just not as many crazy people like this in other states, you know? I mean, a stalker will follow people, but in Los Angeles, it's so much easier for a celebrity stalker to just post up in a wealthy neighborhood and then boom, they'll eventually run into a celebrity. Hopefully though, this all gets sorted out and her and her family can finally find some peace. With that though, let's check out some of your comments from the video titled "Twitch streamer makes $16,000 in one night for sleeping. I need a new job." Joking, I love this job.
American singer and songwriter Lana Del Rey seems to have a lot on her hands lately, mostly in the form of unwanted people trying to get close to her. This isn't the first time she's made headlines, and she unfortunately seems to have a lot of controversies behind her, even leaving social media last year after she felt that it had all become a bit too much. Well, unfortunately for her, leaving social media hasn't left her completely off the map, as there have been 2 separate occasions where she has had to file protection orders against people that she alleged have been stalking her and even visiting her home. There was one that took place at the beginning of this year and one that happened only just recently. So let's talk about the new one and recap the old. She just put out a new protection order against a man that she says is stalking her and apparently especially interested in her car. She was granted a temporary restraining order from Los Angeles County, claiming she is being accosted by a man named Eric Aravardo. She says that he has shown up to her home on 2 separate occasions and apparently even stole one of her vehicles. In the documents, she says that he apparently first showed up to her home in February, shortly after the first stalking case took place. She says that he made off with one of her cars, which was a Jaguar, and ended up being criminally charged for the offense. And he then apparently returned just earlier this month, reportedly leaving a bag at her gate which contained a disturbing letter about how he wished to see her again. She also claims that the man had been texting her sister a few different times between February and July, but it's unknown how he even managed to get her number. She says that she has no idea who this man is or has any connection with him, and that she fears for the safety of her and her family. Due to this, a judge signed off on the order and a hearing will apparently be taking place next month. For now, Eric will be required to stay 100 yards away from both Lana and her sister and is not allowed to be in contact with them in any way. As we know, a very similar situation took place earlier this year in January, this time between Lana and a woman named Janine Lee Stratton, a woman that she said had appeared at her home on 3 occasions and was apparently harassing her and her team through scary text messages. The woman apparently goes by the nickname America and had reportedly been constantly contacting members of Lana's team, including her managers. She was apparently demanding to meet Lana in person, saying that she was Lana's muse and that she was apparently communicating with her in her songs and even in her dreams. Lana's management team responded to the woman via text saying that she did not want to meet her and she needed to leave them alone. This led to a long reply from Stratton, which included the line, "I want to make a scene, because guess what? I don't go away easy." A pretty freaky threat. She also apparently went so far as to arrive at Lana's property in Los Angeles and jumped the fence to make an entry, where she was thankfully quickly met by Lana's security team. Similarly to the most recent situation, Lana filed for a temporary restraining order, saying she feared for her safety, and the request was granted by a judge and a hearing was set. Unfortunately, I couldn't seem to find any more information about what happened after the hearing and if anything ever came of it. I guess we can probably be sure that Lana is still safe, as anything major probably would have made the headlines. So whether or not we will actually hear about the hearing and its outcome for this newer stalker case is still up in the air, as the precedent shows that it may just be settled quietly. I guess all we can do is hope that Lana stays safe and that the actions don't escalate into anything more serious.
Britney Spears' ex is facing felony stalking charges? I'm Olivia Kozlowski with InformOverload, and let's talk about it. Britney Spears' ex Jason Alexander will go on trial on federal stalking charges after apparently breaking into the pop star's home just hours before her marriage to husband Sam Asghari. While court records show that Alexander pled not guilty on all charges, the Ventura County Judge David R. Worley ruled in a 2-hour preliminary hearing that there is enough evidence against him to take the case to trial. Britney's former flame, or more like spark, Jason was married to her for a grand total of 55 hours all the way back in 2004. 55 hours, 18 years ago, just want to stress that. They were married for like a minute, almost 20 years ago, and this man is still breaking into houses and crashing weddings. Alexander took to Instagram on June 9th to chronicle his attempts to crash the 40-year-old singer's wedding to 28-year-old Asghari. In a live stream video after appearing at Spears' Los Angeles house, Jason explained that, quote, "Britney Spears invited me here. She's my first wife, my only wife. I'm her first husband. I'm here to crash the wedding cause nobody is here but Sam. So where the F's the family?" End quote. After refusing to leave the property, Alexander was restrained and arrested. In addition to the stalking felony, Alexander has been charged with misdemeanor counts of vandalism, battery, and trespassing, and refusing to leave a private property per his booking form with the Ventura County Sheriff's Office. His bail is set at $100,000, and that is exactly how wedding crashers lied to us all.